sometimes a band, and typically if a band is touring, they're going to have their own credentials. Something really big, they're going to use their own credentials. Something smaller, like a typical band around here or something might be on tour, they might depend on the credentials that the venue gives them. At the events that we do, mainly because they're usually multiple acts, multiple days, we give them our own passes to use and ask them to use our passes. And then also that way we can control, and we know how many they have. Sometimes we might not be able to accommodate all of their guests backstage. So if they've given out 300 of their own passes, we have no control over that. So that's what we'll do. We'll say, we realize you have your own passes, but we need you to use our passes. So, and controlling who gets passes is another big thing. It's really backstage passes and tickets are my biggest nightmare because everybody wants one. Regardless of what they need, they always want, the people that get this pass always want this pass. The people that get this pass always want that pass. So, but you do have to keep tight control of things. When we do stuff, we actually put people's names and their titles on them too. So if somebody has a problem with somebody, they can look at their pass and see who it is and tell what they're supposed to be doing or what they're not supposed to be doing. These are some actual proofs for some ones I did for Essence, and you can see the foil overlays and colors and all that, and that's really just to try to keep them from being easily copied and counterfeited.
How expensive is it to make passes?
It's pretty expensive. Something like this with foil paper and special shapes can cost a couple of dollars, $2.50, sometimes $3 a piece to make. So for something like Jazz Fest, I think my budget is about $17,000. So it's pretty expensive. But that's, like I say, that's hundreds and thousands of some of these things. And I take as many shortcuts as I can to try to keep the cost down. Because when I get my passes, I just get the piece that you put inside the plastic and laminate it. So I laminate it and I put the names on it myself. Because they charge 15 cents each to do that. So when you're talking about 1,000 passes, every 15 cents a piece you save is, it adds up. So yeah, it can be really expensive. I've made passes too that glowed in the dark, which are really cool. I've done a couple of those for Essence, and that was an event that was at night and it was inside, so it actually, it actually worked. But that was really cool. Those are some of my favorite ones that I did. The next one I want to do, which is going to be really expensive, so I just kind of waited for the technology to catch up a little bit, is lenticular. When you look at something and you move it and it looks like it's actually like a video or something like that. And I've seen a couple, not many, but you'll see postcards and stuff like that made out of that kind of stuff. But that's really expensive, so that's my next wish is to make a lenticular pass that changes when you look at it. I guess daytime it would be the most effective because you could see it the best. But they actually have a wristband. I just got an email a few weeks ago. There's a wristband that they do that on. So when you look at it, it looks like people are moving or something like that, which is pretty cool. The other thing I try to do is make passes as distinctive colors as possible. Like I really prefer doing something like this where when you look at it, that's a pink pass, that's a blue one, that's a gold one. Some of the ones with pictures on them, it's harder to do that. So, and that just kind of makes it harder for security because like those two passes, for instance, this isn't really a very good copy of, but kind of look the same color. So, and by making it different shapes, that helps alleviate that. And this is a sample board that we do at Jazz Fest, which over the years, technology has allowed us to do some fancier stuff. But we do sample boards like this, and then you put that next to the security posts, like going backstage or at the gates and whatnot, so then the security can refer to it, and so they don't have to remember all that because it gets, and it, one of my biggest problems is trying to explain and train the security and to understand the credential system, because it's not, I mean, it looks kind of simple at first glance, but it's pretty complicated. I have staff people that I've been working with for years that don't understand the credential system at Jazz Fest. But one of the things I do too is I print on the back of it what the pass does. So then the person with the pass can look at it and say, okay, well, this will get me backstage, or it won't get me backstage, or it tells you what gate to come in, that kind of thing. Because people give out these passes, but they don't tell you what it does, so you don't even know where it, what it'll get you. So that helps a little bit too. And then on these passes, on this you can't see it, but there's like a blank spot where it's printed kind of light, and we use that to write with a Sharpie. You write on there like what band it is. If it's not stage specific, you might write what stage it is, what stage it is. Again, so that gives you some control if you got to get people out of a backstage or something like that for the next group to take over. So let's see, I have some other sample boards y'all can look at. This is from Voodoo Festival, and they do theirs a little differently. This was from one day, and I like the way they did this because they left a box there, and what they would do is wherever they put this board, they would mark on here whether or not that pass was good for that area. So you make a bunch of these, the boards are the same, and then depending on where you put them, you can mark it so that security would know what to do. See, these two to me look too much alike. They got exactly the same graphic on it, and it's just an opposite color. So it's a little bit harder, for security to remember, well, was it the black one or the gold one? It's a little bit more difficult. I think this was good for this was good for one day. So then I think the next day they had the same pass, but maybe it was silver or something. And I think these were full. And this is one they put on the back. This is like a few people had it that could go anywhere, and it was all foil, holographic foil and stuff like that. So it's kind of interesting. And at Bonnaroo, I actually go with a security company up there, so I don't have anything to do with the production of the event. But you can see again how many different types of credentials there are. They use a lot of wristbands up there, so they even put wristbands on the patrons. So when you come in, you get a wristband, and then you can wander all over the site. People that are camping, they go back to their campsites, they come onto the venue, so that if we actually have to check the public to make sure they have wristbands on as they're coming and going. So if they've gotten into the camping area or something, they don't have a ticket, they can't get in there. So they have to wear that wristband all weekend long. And then vendors have wristbands, photographers, VIPs, that sort of thing. And then you've got your laminates, again, for your core staff and stuff. And they did, the second year of their festival, they named their stages, and we, all the security people and the medical people weren't very happy about what they did because although it was very clever, it really wasn't very practical because they named their stages. They have a what stage, a which, and a which stage. And so if you're trying to call in a medical incident or a security incident, you're like, which stage are you at? I'm at the what stage? Which stage? So it's just kind of ridiculous. So, and then they, the next year they decided to keep it like that. So, yeah, that's a little bit scary. I think they actually now they call one of them the first stage and the second stage too, to kind of try to alleviate that. But you can see that something as simple as what you name a stage can affect, can definitely affect the security and medical stuff, but that's kind of silly. But again, that's a very complicated system, and every one of these wristbands can do different things. So the poor security guard that's sitting there and has to, keep track of all that going on all the time too. It's kind of crazy.